What is the defense's burden when proving self-defense? Imagine being accused of a violent crime and trying to convince the court that you acted in self-defense. What exactly does your side need to show to make that case? That's what we're here to explain. When someone claims self-defense, it is up to the defense to prove certain facts to support that claim. This is called the burden of proof. In most cases, the defendant must first produce enough evidence to suggest they acted reasonably under the circumstances. This is known as establishing a prima facie case. Once the defense does this, the prosecution then has the job of proving beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant did not act in self-defense. To meet the initial burden, the defense needs to show that the defendant reasonably believed they were in immediate danger of being harmed. They must also prove that the force used was necessary to prevent that harm. For example, if someone was attacked with a knife, the defendant might argue they used force to protect themselves. The force used must be proportional to the threat. If the threat was non-lethal, using deadly force might not be justified. The key point is that the defendant does not have to prove they were right, but they must produce enough evidence to raise the possibility that they acted in self-defense. This can include eyewitness testimony, physical evidence, or the defendant's own account of what happened. Once this evidence is presented, the burden shifts to the prosecution. They must then prove that the defendant did not act in self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt. This means they need to convince the court that the defendant's claim is not believable or that the facts do not support self-defense. In violent crime cases, this process is especially important. Courts scrutinize whether the defendant genuinely believed they were in danger and whether their response was both necessary and reasonable. If the defense can meet their initial burden, the case may go to the jury to decide if the defendant's actions were justified. So, in simple terms, the defense's burden when proving self-defense is to first show enough evidence to suggest they acted reasonably and in immediate response to a threat. After that, the prosecution must prove beyond a doubt that the defendant was not justified in their actions. Understanding this process helps clarify how self-defense claims are evaluated in court and why the burden of proof is structured this way.